हेलो एवरीवन, वेरी वेरी गुड मॉर्निंग। वेलकम टू टेक्स्ट बुक सुपर कोचिंग फॉर रेगुलेटरी बॉडीज। कैसे आप सब लोग? जी हाँ, आज के सेशन में आप सबका स्वागत है। वेरी गुड मॉर्निंग टू यू ऑल। एंड शुरू करेंगे हमारे आज के इस बैंकिंग करंट अफेयर्स, फाइनेंशियल करंट अफेयर्स के सेशन को, जो रेगुलेटरी बॉडीज या सुपरवाइजरी बॉडीज के लिए बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट रहेगा। जी हाँ, एक बार जल्दी से कमेंट सेक्शन में बता दीजिए, आई एम ऑडिबल टू ऑल। सबको आवाज आ रही कि नहीं आ रही, एक बार जल्दी से कमेंट सेक्शन में डाल दीजिएगा। एंड देन विल स्टार्ट विद द सेशन। फिर सेशन की शुरुआत करते हैं। इस सेशन में दो सेक्शंस में हम लोग बातचीत करेंगे। एक सेक्शन होगा जहां पे करंट अफेयर्स के एमसीक्यूज के थ्रू हम कुछ न्यूज कवर करेंगे। कुछ एमसीक्यूज है जिनके ऊपर हमारी बात होगी, और फिर उसके बाद हम लोग कुछ न्यूज़पेपर के न्यूज के ऊपर भी एनालिसिस कर लेंगे कि एग्जाम के लिए क्या क्या चीजें हैं जो इंपॉर्टेंट रहेगी। तो शुरू करते हैं, स्टार्ट करते हैं आज के सेशन को। वंस अगेन वेरी वेरी गुड मॉर्निंग टू यू ऑल। आप सबको बहुत बहुत गुड मॉर्निंग। देखो, अभी तक अगर आपने हमारे इस चैनल को सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया होगा तो एक बार जल्दी से चैनल को सब्सक्राइब भी कर दीजिएगा, ताकि हमारे और भी दोस्तों को इसकी इंफॉर्मेशन मिले। साथ में सेशन को लाइक करना भी मत भूलिएगा। चलो तो शुरू करते। सबसे पहले कुछ एमसीक्यूज कवर कर लेंगे, जैसे मैं कह रहा था कि उसके थ्रू भी कुछ न्यूज कवर करेंगे और फिर बाद में न्यूज एनालिसिस की तरफ जाएंगे। तो पहला क्वेश्चन आपके सामने, ICAI has constituted up to 16-member group on the SA 600 changes. The group is led by former ICAI president. So yes, anyone knows about this? कोई इसके बारे में जानता होगा तो एक बार कमेंट सेक्शन में जल्दी से डाल दीजिएगा आपके आंसर को। चलो काम करते हैं, डिस्कस कर ही लेते हैं। अगर हम यहां पे बात करें तो इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ चार्टर्ड अकाउंट्स ऑफ इंडिया की बात हो रही है। तो इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ चार्टर्ड अकाउंट्स ऑफ इंडिया, इसके फॉर्मर प्रेसिडेंट है। इनके अंडर एक ग्रुप बनाया गया है और एक ग्रुप क्रिएट किया गया है। जैसे फॉर एग्जाम्पल हम बात करते हैं, SA 600 नाम का एक स्टैंडर्ड है, अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड है, उसके लिए यूजिंग द वर्क ऑफ द अनदर ऑडिटर। सो उसी स्टैंडर्डाइजेशन को चेक करने के लिए नेशनल फाइनेंशियल रिपोर्टिंग अथॉरिटी ने रिक्वेस्ट की थी इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ चार्टर्ड अकाउंट्स ऑफ इंडिया को कि एक ग्रुप क्रिएट कीजिएगा। तो इसी ग्रुप को क्रिएट किया गया है। तो बेसिकली इंटरनेशनल अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड्स जो होते हैं, उस इंटरनेशनल अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड्स को हैंडल करने के लिए इस ग्रुप को क्रिएट किया गया। सो दिस ग्रुप इज प्रिसाइडेड बाय फॉर्मर ICAI प्रेसिडेंट देबासिस मित्रा। देबासिस मित्रा ये इस ग्रुप को लीड कर रहे, ये इस ग्रुप के हेड रहे। तो यहां पे ध्यान रखिएगा। तो क्वेश्चन कैन बी आस्क्ड अगेन, SA 600 एग्जैक्टली क्या है? तो ये इंटरनेशनल अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड्स के हिसाब से इंडियन अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड्स के ऊपर काम करने के लिए इस ग्रुप को क्रिएट किया गया। ICAI की बात करेंगे तो इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ चार्टर्ड अकाउंट्स ऑफ इंडिया एंड नेशनल फाइनेंशियल रिपोर्टिंग अथॉरिटी ने ये रिक्वेस्ट की थी, जिसके भरोसे ये ग्रुप क्रिएट किया गया। सो वेरी सिंपल एंड द स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड न्यूज एंड वेरी गुड अनुकूल, सही आंसर है आपका। From September 23, when the JP Morgan bond index inclusion was announced, foreign portfolio investors had pumped how much amount into Indian government debt? Okay, so JP Morgan bond index में जब से इंक्लूजन हुआ है हमारे बॉन्ड्स का, हमारे गवर्नमेंट सिक्योरिटीज का, सो कितना फॉरेन पोर्टफोलियो इन्वेस्टमेंट है वो गवर्नमेंट बॉन्ड्स के अंदर पंप हुआ है या इंक्लूड हुआ है, ये क्वेश्चन पूछा गया। लास्ट टाइम इस जेपी मॉर्गन इंडेक्स को लेकर हमारी बात हुई थी, एग्जाम में भी इसके अराउंड क्वेश्चन पूछा गया था। सो वी टॉक्ड अबाउट दिस मल्टीपल टाइम्स। तो जब से जेपी मॉर्गन बॉन्ड इंडेक्स का इंक्लूजन हुआ है तो नियर अबाउट $18 बिलियन ये पंप हुआ है हमारे मार्केट के अंदर। इट्स अ गुड साइन, क्योंकि जितना इंटरनेशनल एक्सपोजर मिलेगा उतना फॉरेन इन्वेस्टमेंट ऑटोमेटिकली देश के अंदर बढ़ेगा। तो ये काफी इंपॉर्टेंट न्यूज है। तो क्वेश्चन यहां पे डेफिनेटली बन सकता है, ऑलरेडी बन भी गया, इसके ऊपर ऑलरेडी सवाल एग्जाम में पूछा भी गया है। RBI fully accessible route bonds were the only ones that qualified for the index inclusion. So इस इंडेक्स में कौन से बॉन्ड्स इंक्लूड होंगे? तो जो फुल्ली एक्सेसिबल रूट वाले बॉन्ड्स है, बस उन्हीं को इंक्लूड किया जाएगा। ये RBI ने लास्ट टाइम भी मेंशन किया था। Now, GST Council has decided to reduce the goods and service tax on cancer drugs from 12% to how much? We talked about this. इसके ऊपर हमारी बात हो चुकी है, कल भी हमने डिस्कस किया था, आज सुबह 6 बजे के मॉर्निंग 6 o'clock के सेशन के अंदर भी we talked about this particular concept. So now my question is, how much reduction on the cancer drugs recently by the GST Council? 3 cancer drugs were into the discussion around this particular part. So yes, 12% to 5% is the reduction we did, or the GST Council recently announced for the 3 cancer drugs. So GST Council is always headed by the finance minister of the country, and there are other finance ministers of the different states as well as UTs, as well as the union state finance minister is also the part of this council called as the GST Council. They are having responsibility to discuss and decide what will be the GST scenario in the coming time frame, and accordingly they will decide something, and that will be shared with the our parliament, and that's their job. We'll go to the next question. Which of the following has received the final approval from RBI to act as a payment aggregator? So, payment aggregator, RBI is providing license to multiple fintech companies as a payment aggregator. Yesterday also we discussed about the Pay Global. We talked about the Pay Global. They also got the license. There is another company who got the license recently for the payment aggregator, and that company is a PaySharp. PaySharp is the name of the company. They got this in principle license in 2022, and now the final working license they got just now by the Reserve Bank of India. The total 36 payment aggregators got the license from RBI, got the approval from the RBI so that they can work as a payment aggregator. Payment aggregators are basically the mediators. They are the mediators, and they worked as a payment process supplier to different merchants. They handle different type of payments for the different merchants, and that is their job over here. India overtook which country in the MSCI's Emerging Market Investable Market Index? So Emerging Markets Investable Market Index is the kind of a new index, and in that index, India recently crossed one country's calculations or the valuations, and that country is China. So India overtook China into this particular calculation. So Morgan Stanley Capital International Emerging Market Investable Index is the name of this index, and in this index we just overtaken the China, becoming the more attractive country for the investments purposes, and that is the case. So emerging market, when we talk about the emerging market, India become more attractive than the China according to Morgan Stanley's Capital International International Index. Now ध्यान दीजिएगा, India's weightage of MSCI EM stood 22.27% compared to China's 21.58%. So if we'll talk on the numbers scenario, so these are the numbers which shows clearly that India is more attractive than the Chinese market in this particular scenario. We'll go to the next question. Which state bagged the top achiever status in two categories of BRAP? So category 2 basically, two categories in BRAP. So which state government bagged top achiever status in two categories under BRAP? Now what is BRAP? So first we'll talk about that. So things will be much better for you. So Business Reform Action Plan is called as a BRAP, and Uttar Pradesh got the top achiever award in two categories under this. So business centric and the citizen centric category, they're the two categories. Under these two categories they got the award. Again, Business Reform Action Plan. Such kind of plans will be helpful for ease of doing business. Okay, that's why we can attract multiple businesses. So they are having the focus of citizen centric as well as the business centric, and that's why this is a very, very important scenario. We'll go to the next question. Which of the following topped the list of category 2 cities, those with the population of 3 lakh to 10 lakh in the Union Environment Minister's Swachh Vayu Sarvekshan? Swachh Vayu Sarvekshan was recently, the function was recently conducted in Jaipur. Bhupendra Yadav, who is the Minister of the Ministry of Environment, Climate Change and the Forest, was present, as well as the Chief Minister of Rajasthan was also there. So under three categories, these awards being given, category 1, 2 and 3. So question is regarding category 2. So which state got the best state award in the category 2? So Surat topped the list this year in the category 1 scenario, and when it comes to category 2, so Firozabad is the name of the city. So category 1 Surat and category 2 Firozabad. These are the cities who got this award. Obviously, this question is not directly related to the economics or the finance or the banking, but ये हमारे लिए एक important factor बन जाएगा, तो ध्यान रखिएगा, ठीक है? So that is the case. Yes, we'll move forward and we'll start with the discussion of the newspapers news. So what are the important news covered in today's newspaper that we are going to talk about? Before that, we are going to start a current affairs special batch, and that batch is going to start from the next week. So to enroll into this batch, you can use this coupon code PUSHPAK. You can use that code, as well as we have the RBI Grade B Foundation badge. From the phase 1 till the interview, this batch is going to run, and in this batch, obviously answer writing, interview preparation, as well as many other things we are going to cover. So don't forget to enroll into this batch. This is the coupon code which will be helpful for you. Yes, we'll start with this, and the first news is on your screen. ULI likely to move from the Mint Roads hub to new entity, ULI, Unified Lending Interface, which was recently announced by the RBI governor that very soon our country is going to experience a new lending platform, will be called as a Unified Lending Interface. Now the news is that this platform will work autonomously or separately, and that is the point mentioned here. Now what exactly this news is, I will give the clarity. This ULI concept was created by Reserve Bank Innovation Hub. Reserve Bank Innovation Hub is one of the subsidiary of RBI. Reserve Bank of India की एक subsidiary है, इसको हम लोग कहते हैं Reserve Bank Innovation Hub. They created this concept called as the ULI. Now it was like probability that it was earlier mentioned that RBIH is going to handle the ULI properly. They will manage it. NPCI, the role of NPCI won't be here. When it comes to ULI, NPCI is not responsible to create this product, or NPCI is not going to handle this product. It was damn clear from the beginning. So people were thinking that RBIH is going to handle this, but it's a commercial business now. Look, for example, you created something and now it will be useful for the commercial purpose. When it will be useful for the commercial purpose, then we need to create some separate authority, because RBI is the innovation hub. They are not going to work commercially, and that's why RBI is planning to create a separate authority. RBI is thinking to establish a new entity which will handle the commercial process of this ULI. इसका पूरा commercial काम वो entity देखेगी. RBI is only going to work for the R&D purpose or the research and development purpose. That's the case. So that's why the news is that ULI likely to move from the Mint Roads hub to the new entity. Mint Road, it's a road where RBI's headquarters is situated. Okay, that is Mumbai's Mint Road, where RBI's headquarters. So Mint Roads hub means RBI's innovation hub. This is a journalistic innovative way to write the news, and that's the case over here. Now, the new utility must be established for ULI to make it commercial. Reserve Bank Innovation Hub, a wholly owned subsidiary of the central bank where ULI has been developed, cannot partake the commercial activities. So they are not going to handle the commercial activity. It was damn clear. ULI will facilitate seamless digital information flow to the lenders, which we know end-to-end platform will have open architecture enabling regulated entities to connect via plug and play model, and ULI will integrate data from central and the state government account aggregator, banks, credit information companies, and the digital identity, etc., etc. So ULI, how exactly ULI is going to work? First, we'll talk about that. Now ULI will be the digital platform that is expected to make the lending process easy, is a frictionless credit while delivering the banking service to farmers and the MSME borrowers. So major focus of this ULI will be on the farmers and the MSME borrowers. So whole information will be at the single place, or the single window kind of a system which we are going to create. A consent-based digital access. Consent-based means those persons who are going for the loan, okay, by taking their consent, the information will be centralized and will be shared with the lender, and that's the concept here. ULI will provide lenders the digital access to both financial as well as non-financial data of the customer, including land records, through consent-based system. So if some farmer is going for the loan, so ULI will provide the information to the bank, or from where the farmer is going to borrow, that institution like NBFC or the bank, and obviously with the consent. If a farmer is ready to share the information, then ULI will share the information with the banker regarding the financial, non-financial, whatever the information is required or important to provide that loan, so that very easily and with a lesser period of time period we can provide the loan. That is the main purpose. Common and standardized API. ULI will feature standardized application programming that allows plug and play approach, simplifying the data access and reducing the technical integration complexity. So just like UPI, it is going to work. So no more complications. Everything will be very simple and very easy, especially for the banks or the NBFCs, so that they can provide or they can process the loan easily. The plug and play concept refers to ready-made facilities with essential infrastructure like power, network. So plug and play, we use this concept for the infrastructure like corridors or the industrial cities. That time also we discuss about this plug and play. The plug and play in that scenario is that the infrastructure will be ready. You just go there and start working. Okay. For here, यहाँ पे exactly क्या scene होगा? This ULI is going to centralize whole information. Whenever banks will require, banks will just approach them, collect the selective information and use it. They need not to do many other things like they need to share something and that, etc., etc. No, nothing like that. Whenever they require the information, they will just plug, they will just use the information and they will process the loans. So it's a plug and play will be much easier. So this is a kind of a generic term which we can use everywhere. हम हर जगह से use कर सकते हैं. The potential benefit. Frictionless credit, like I have already mentioned, will be very easy. Then reduce appraisal time, centralized data access, and focus on agriculture and MSME. That was mentioned by the RBI governor in his recent speech. So that's about this particular concept. Other than this, we have some other platforms for the lendings in India. For example, public credit registry we already have to gather the information in a central system, account aggregator framework which we recently discussed, then credit information companies we have, then trade receivable discounting system. Recently it was in news because it was also asked in the exam. In the budget, Nirmala ji talked about earlier TREDS used to provide facilities to the companies from 500 crore and above. Now this amount being reduced to 250 crore. So the companies having the valuation of 250 crore and above, they can also use the TREDS platform. And peer-to-peer lending is already there. Many of the time RBI creates a regulatory notifications for this peer-to-peer lending so that there should not be any complications. So these are few things which are already there in our country for the smooth lending and trustworthy lending facilities which are already mentioned here. That's it. Now, Competition Commission of India clears the Tata Motors finance with the Tata Capital. So, Tata Motors Finance Limited was one of the NBFC created by the Tata Motors. Obviously, Tata Industries having multiple different businesses. So, one of the business was Tata Motors Finance was the NBFC. Tata Capital is already there. So, Tata Group of Industries decided, Tata Sons Board of Directors decided that there should be a merger between the Tata Capital and Tata Motors Finance. Not Tata Motors. Tata Motors will work separately because it's an automobile company. But Tata Motor Finance was an NBFC. Now they are going to merge, and the final approval from the CCI, Competition Commission of India, they received yesterday. Now, Competition Commission of India is a statutory body created in 2003. This authority works under the aegis of, under the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. Nirmala Sitharaman ji is the minister and Ravneet Kaur, she is the head of Competition Commission of India right now. This authority is having responsibility to check moral, ethical, legal, all aspects regarding the businesses or the corporate sectors of India, especially when it comes to mergers and acquisitions, and the same point is here. So very easy news, you need not to go much in detail because this merger is under the same umbrella of the Tata Sons. So that's why there are no much complications here. Things are very easy. So Tata Motor Finance, now this name will not be there because everything under this name or under this business category will be the part of Tata Capital henceforth, and that was mentioned by this particular news. Now another big news, Lockheed Martin, which is a US based company, decided to having a tie-up with the Tata firm to C-130J Super Hercules. This is the name of the plane. C-130J Super Hercules. We already have this plane. Our Air Force is already having this particular aircraft. You can see Bharatiya Vayu Sena. So our Air Force is already the owner of this particular plane. But now the manufacturing of this plane will be in India, and that's why our defense minister, our Raksha Mantri, when he was in USA last month, you might have heard, you might have read that Rajnath Singh Sahab was in USA. He had many meetings with the different defense personnel in USA, and one of the important was that Lockheed Martin is going to work in India. So with the help of Tata. So very simple question will be asked. Lockheed Martin is a company from the USA, is an aircraft manufacturing company. They are going to work with Tata in India for the building of, for the production of one aircraft which is very famous, called as a C-13J Super Hercules. That's it. That's all from this news. Nothing extra. Okay. What exactly investments and fundings and other things are yet to be clear, but right now the only company oriented investment or the announcement is here, just you should know about. Okay, this is the Indian team as well as the US team. They went with our defense minister, and that time these discussions happened. The same photo is there. Obviously defense minister is not in this photo, but our Air Force commanders were there. That's it. Now, iPhone exports surge 54% in April to August to $5 billion. This is a big news for India and the big success story under PLI, Production Link Incentive Scheme. Under PLI, mobile manufacturing is also supported, and by using that PLI facility, Apple started manufacturing their phones in India, especially the hardware companies related to Apple. They started manufacturing their phones in India. So when it comes to from April to August, okay, in this year itself, the three vendors of iPhone in India, have already made 54% of this year's commitment to government export. So whatever the commitments were there, out of that commitment, 54% is already achieved. Now iPhone 16 is being launched, and iPhone 16 Pro and Max is usually or is mostly manufactured in India. So iPhone 16 Pro and iPhone 16 Max, which we saw recently in the launch event, is mostly manufactured in India. So of course the export is going to be like anything in a future months, in a future days. So that is the point which is mentioned here. Now we'll talk about the numbers now. So Apple's export of iPhone from India touched $5 billion, which is already mentioned here, which is a 54% over the 3.2 billion during the same period last year. So last year we achieved 3.2 billion export, and obviously this year the numbers being increased. So let's talk about some other numbers which are very important over here. Yes, one thing which is crucial, which companies are manufacturing these iPhones? कौन सी companies है जो iPhone manufacture कर रही है? And they are very famous companies: Foxconn, Pegatron, and the Wistron. Wistron is now working with the Tata. Foxconn and the Pegatron, they are working independently. These are the three companies which are actually manufacturing the Apple phones. Apple is just creating the software and the system, जिसको iOS हम लोग कहते हैं. The hardware manufacturing is done by these three companies: Foxconn, Wistron, and the Pegatron. Wistron is having tie-up with the Tata Electronics, and that's the point which is here. Three vendors have committed the export output of 8.9 billion under the PLI scheme. So these three companies promise that they are going to export 8.9 billion worth iPhones from India, out of which 5 billion we have already achieved. So that's a very positive news. That's a very kind of a motivating news, and these numbers are obviously going to be much bigger or the better, because iPhone 16, which was recently launched by the Apple in the Apple event, so out of which iPhone 16 Pro and Max we are manufacturing in India, and that's the case. So PLI is the success story, and you have the success here in front of you. NABARD, National Bank for Financing Infrastructure and Development, is one of the AIFI, All India Financial Institution of Government of India. They are going to have one infrastructure conclave, and this conclave will be building India, bettering lives. So infrastructure conclave organized by NABFID. NABFID is one of the AIFI, and this conference will be on the 12th of September. Means tomorrow they are going to organize this conference. This conference will be in Mumbai because NABFID's headquarters is in Mumbai. So conference is in Mumbai. The key speakers will be P. Nagaraju, who is a Finance Service Department के secretary, then chairperson of SEBI, then deputy governor of RBI, KV Kamath, he is a chairman person of the NABFID, and Rajkiran Rai ji is a managing director of the NABFID. So chairman, managing director of this institution. NABFID, we'll talk about the NABFID little bit because again a static information is very crucial. National Bank for Financing Infrastructure and Development, which is created by the Government of India with the Parliamentary Act in 2021. So NABFID is a statutory body because it is created by the Parliamentary Act in 2021. It is one of the AIFI, just like NABARD, just like SEBI, just like EXIM or the NHB. So it works for the infrastructure financing, and that's why the conference which they have organized is called as a infrastructure conclave, will be in Mumbai. Again, NABFID is headed by, as a chairperson, by KV Kamath, very famous banker, and MD CEO Rajkiran Rai ji, another very famous banker from India. That's it. That will be enough from this particular news. India pitches for more info sharing on its international payment. Now, FATF, Financial Action Task Force, you might have heard about this institution. FATF is a very famous institution. Its headquarters is in Paris, and 1989 we have created this authority. 40 members are there. India is obviously one of the member of this. Earlier, this group used to serve only for the Europe, but now they are serving for the everyone in all over the world. They are working. So Europe will be the wrong statement here. So I will just cut it out. Remember that the president, the name of the president is here. So what is the job of FATF? FATF basically checks about the financing for the terrorism. They checked about the malpractices. They checked about the corruption money. They checked about the any kind of black money or the illegal funds. They usually talked about that. So FATF is going to release one report on the 19th of September. They are going to release a report about India's mutual evaluation report. The report is about mutual evaluation report about India's online payment or the digital payment. They are not going to criticize India in this report. They are going to basically put India's success story in front of everyone in the world, that how India developed its digital payment and how strongly India is working with the digital payment. So in that report, Government of India is talking about that more info sharing on the international payments, that how we exactly did. So India is focusing on more and more transparency about this report. So 19th of September, this report is going to come. India said its proposal will make cross-border financial transactions between senders and recipients easier. So India हमेशा से इसे push करता है. जैसे Project Nexus was started by BIS. India joined that project. India also having multiple agreements with many countries, like recently with the France or even with the Australia, with the neighboring countries regarding the international international real-time payment settlement or the cross-border payment. Then that's the point mentioned here. FATF deliberating whether the required information is available to law enforcement agencies or if it get masked in any form. Masking information delays the data sharing by financial institution. Now, what is the masking information? So, for example, cross-border payment is there. So, is that information is directly going to the investigating authority, or that information is there out to check the any malpractices? If not, that is means masking of the information, कि कोई ना कोई से छुपाने की कोशिश कर रहा है. So there should not be any masking of information. That's the point mentioned by FATF, and India is saying no, we are not doing something like that. The whole information is in front of the people, and that's the very, very important criteria. That's how blockchain plays a vital role. If we are using blockchain, then masking of information is almost impossible. I will say almost impossible, not completely, okay, because you never know, people can find out the multiple ways to hide out the the things, but Remember that. Currently, sender's name and countries of origin is recorded in any cross-border transaction. So that's the point mentioned by the government of India. So on the 19th of September, this report will come. We'll see what FATF is talking about this international transaction report. But right now, we should have some basic information, some static information about this institution. This institution is also having one grey list and the blacklist concept. If they have the 100% assurance that some country is helping to provide the finance to terrorism, they are using some black monies, or they are hiding some black money, or they are helping to mask the black money, then the countries will be in the blacklist. Like Iran is there, Myanmar is there, North Korea is already there, and there is some grey list about they are having doubt. FATF को अगर doubt है, then they will put those countries into the grey list, and they will give time to the countries to prove that they are not hiding anything and they are having a very good transparency. Pakistan recently successfully came out of grey list and become the normal country, because earlier Pakistan was a part of grey list for longer period of time due to some doubts on their financial transactions. RBI slaps 2.91 crore penalty on the Axis and HDFC Bank. This fine by RBI is a very common news these days. Almost every day, RBI is slapping fines on one or the other authorities, either banks or the NBFCs or the fintech companies. Now there are two big banks, HDFC and Axis. They are the one of the biggest banks in the private sector. So let's see why RBI put a fine on them. So 1 crore fine on the HDFC, 1.91 crore fine on the Axis Bank. According to RBI press release, HDFC Bank opened certain saving deposit account in the name of eligible entities and gave gifts. These were in the form of paying the first year premium for the complimentary life insurance cover costing more than 250 rupees to customer at the time of accepting certain deposits. Meanwhile, RBI also found Axis Bank had opened certain saving deposit accounts in the name of ineligible entities. Okay. So ऐसे लोग जो eligible नहीं है, जिनका KYC नहीं हो सकता, या those who are having a very bad track record, HDFC and Axis created their bank accounts and give them some gifts as well as provided or paid their premiums from the bank's account, which was not allowed. वो allowed नहीं था, and that's why Axis allotted multiple identification codes to certain customers instead of unique customer identification code for the each customer. So Axis Bank's problem is that now when customer is opening the bank account, they are going to get one unique code, right? Axis Bank provided multiple codes. So if you are providing multiple codes to the same customer, it will create a chaotic situation that can lead to some malpractices, that can lead to some black money infusion also, because one person should get the one code. But if you are creating multiple code on the same customer's name, then there can be some suspicious activity, and that's why they decided to slap a fine of 1.91 crore. So again, KYC is one of the reasons. Okay, obviously all these things comes under the KYC category, and that's why this reason is being that this fine slapped by the RBI on HDFC as well as the Axis Bank. It's a marathon. Both sides will benefit. Okay. Now what is this news basically? Airtel Africa Foundation is a name of the association. उस association के chairperson है Airtel Africa Foundation. Airtel is not only working in India, is one of the strongest brand in Africa. One of the strongest telecom brand in Africa is the Airtel. So Airtel created one of their foundation there, that is called Airtel Africa Foundation. Okay. So under this foundation, what Airtel is going to do, AI fellowship at the IIT's first overseas campus. So in Africa, in Tanzania, that is Zanzibar, we have the campus of IIT Madras. Zanzibar, which is in Tanzania, we have the campus of IIT Madras. So in this campus, Airtel Foundation is going to provide AI fellowship to the Africans. So African students who will be who are interested or who will get qualified for this program, they will get the free fellowship by the Airtel Foundation, so that Africa में AI spread हो सके, and this AI fellowship will be on the IIT Madras campus, which is in Zanzibar, Tanzania. So it's basically a CSR by the Airtel in Africa. Why this is so much important? Because first, Indian company, African Union also having very good relation with India. and the first campus of Indian institution outside India, that is IIT Madras, which is in Zanzibar. There are some other campuses, for example, IIT Delhi, which is in Abu Dhabi, which we recently saw in the news. IIT Madras, another campus will be in Sri Lanka. And IIT Kanpur, they will be having a campus in Kuala Lumpur. So our IIT Madras, Delhi and Kanpur are having a different campuses. The first campus, IIT Madras in Zanzibar, Tanzania. Second campus, IIT Delhi in Abu Dhabi. The third campus will come again by the IIT Madras, that will be in Sri Lanka. And another campus, IIT Kanpur, is going to open in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. So that is the news just for the exam point of view. Okay. The fine will be under section 47A with section 46A, but whatever the fine we saw, that was under section 47A. But there can be multiple sections to impose the fine, and depending on the situation, for what reason we impose a fine, that matters. Again, this fine is under Banking Regulation Act of 1949. If the news was regarding fintech or the NBFC, then the RBI Act of 1934. But if the fine slapped on banks, then the under Banking Regulation Act of 1949. Remember that will be very, very important. Okay. So yes, 47A we used here to slap the fine on these banks recently. Okay. Again, I want to repeat one point. Okay. The sections cannot be same or similar every time. It will change depending on for what reasons the fine being slapped by the RBI on the banks or the fintech. Remember that. And also law will also differ, because some fines will be slapped under the Banking Regulation Act and some fines will be under the RBI Act of 1934, which we should know. In the news which we saw recently, there was a Banking Regulation Act and the section 47A was there. Okay, that's it. That's all from my side for the day. We'll see you in the master class. Yes, from today we are starting with the master class where we discuss MCQs of finance and the banking related static MCQs mostly we discussed in those batches. So master class will start. We'll share the link on our Telegram platform. That's all guys from my side. Bye bye. Take care.